Beneath primeval seas, shadows moved where no light penetrated, hinting at hunters whose bodies left no mark for eternity. Across hundreds of millions of years, soft-bodied leviathans shaped ecosystems, orchestrating life with stealth and reach rather than teeth or bone. From the Cambrian abyss to the Paleocene depths, these unseen architects dictated prey behavior, energy flow, and survival strategies, their influence etched only in the actions of others. In a world where absence could wield more power than presence, we trace the hidden currents of dominance. Join us as we descend into the mysteries of the oceans that time forgot. Anomalocaris, the Cambrian ghost. The Cambrian seas shimmered with an otherworldly light, filtered through a haze of suspended sediments and the pulsing silhouettes of countless small arthropods, trilobites, and gelatinous swimmers. Amid this alien choreography, one predator rose to dominate the waters, unseen in its entirety, yet impossible to ignore through the marks it left on its prey, Anomalocaris. Measuring up to 1 meter in length, a remarkable scale for its time, this apex predator possessed a flattened, segmented body that allowed it to glide through the shallow seas with fluid, sinuous motion, its flexible lobes functioning like fins that undulated in perfect harmony. Despite the absence of fully articulated fossil specimens, paleontologists pieced together its anatomy through painstaking reconstruction of disarticulated fragments, including the iconic radial mouthparts, fan-like tail, and paired frontal appendages tipped with spiny projections designed for grasping. The frontal appendages, sometimes stretching 1/4 of the creature's entire body length, were its most distinctive tools for predation. Each limb was armed with ventral spines that formed a cage-like trap capable of pinning struggling trilobites and smaller arthropods against the predator's circular mouth. This mouth, often described as a pineapple-like radial structure, comprised multiple concentric plates that could crush and slice exoskeletons with astonishing precision, indicating a mechanical sophistication previously unseen in early multicellular life. Analysis of gut contents preserved in rare Burgess Shale specimens confirmed that Anomalocaris primarily fed on trilobites, suggesting it occupied the top tier of the Cambrian food web, where evolutionary pressures on prey drove rapid adaptations in exoskeletal defenses. Movement in Anomalocaris was a delicate balance of propulsion and stealth. Its lateral lobes, flexible and muscular, allowed subtle adjustments in direction, while the tail fan provided bursts of acceleration. Modern interpretations suggest that it could hover above the sea floor, using minimal energy to patrol feeding grounds, yet accelerate instantly when prey came into range. Such efficiency in locomotion points to a predator that relied not only on physical strength, but on a sophisticated understanding of fluid dynamics in its environment, a mastery that remains astonishing given the simplicity of Cambrian nervous systems, as inferred from fossilized neuropils and trace patterns in soft tissue impressions. The ecological impact of Anomalocaris was profound. Trilobite populations show evidence of repeated shell scarring consistent with predatory strikes, revealing a long-standing evolutionary arms race. Such repeated predation likely influenced not only the morphology of prey species, but also their behavioral patterns, driving some to burrow or form defensive aggregations. These ripple effects extended through the Cambrian ecosystems, influencing competition among other early predators, nutrient cycling, and the spatial distribution of species across continental shelves. Despite the absence of a complete body fossil, the ecological footprint of Anomalocaris is unmistakable, underscoring the predator's central role in shaping the structure of these early marine communities. Fossil evidence, though fragmented, allows for remarkable inferences about the sensory capabilities of Anomalocaris. Its compound eyes, preserved in rare Burgess shale specimens, were mounted on stalks capable of a wide field of vision, suggesting acute detection of movement and light gradients across the seafloor. Each eye consisted of thousands of individual lenses, indicating a degree of visual resolution comparable to that of many modern arthropods, allowing it to identify prey and navigate the complex topography of Cambrian reefs. These adaptations reveal a predator whose hunting strategies were likely both opportunistic and deliberate, integrating visual input with precise appendage control to maximize predatory success. The morphology of Anomalocaris also offers insights into the evolutionary experimentation of the Cambrian explosion. Its combination of lobed body plan, radial mouth, and specialized appendages represents a departure from simple bilateral designs, reflecting the evolutionary pressures of a newly complex marine environment. The development of specialized predatory structures in Anomalocaris illustrates a broader trend in early animal evolution, the rapid emergence of ecological niches and the corresponding anatomical innovations required to exploit them. This predator exemplifies how form and function co-evolved, shaping both its own lineage and the species it hunted. Paleo-environmental reconstructions of Cambrian seas suggest that Anomalocaris thrived in areas with mixed sediment types and variable water depths, likely following swarms of small arthropods and soft-bodied creatures. Fossil assemblages from the Burgess Shale reveal that these predators were not solitary hunters in the traditional sense. Multiple individuals occupied overlapping territories, creating a dynamic landscape of competition and opportunistic predation. The predator's presence likely drove both vertical and horizontal migrations of prey, influencing the spatial heterogeneity of the seafloor and contributing to the patchwork of ecological microhabitats that characterized Cambrian marine communities. Despite its dominance, Anomalocaris remains elusive in the fossil record. Only disarticulated specimens, mouthparts, lobes, and isolated tail fans have been reliably recovered, a testament to the fragility of its soft tissues and the difficulty of preservation in deep time. These fragments, painstakingly assembled by generations of paleontologists, reveal a creature both terrifying and elegant, whose life and behavior must be inferred from indirect evidence. This absence of a complete skeleton amplifies the mystery surrounding the predator, inviting both scientific investigation and imaginative reconstruction to fill the gaps left by deep time. The sheer size and mechanics of Anomalocaris suggest it exerted influence far beyond individual predation events. By preying on abundant trilobites and other arthropods, it likely regulated population densities, preventing any one species from dominating and maintaining biodiversity within its ecological niche. This form of top-down control, achieved without leaving a fossilized backbone, underscores the subtle yet profound ways in which soft-bodied apex predators can shape ecosystems over geological time. Observing the patterns of predation in the fossil record, one can trace the ripple effects of Anomalocaris across the early marine food web, revealing the interplay between predator innovation and prey adaptation. The discovery and interpretation of Anomalocaris also reflect a revolution in paleontological methodology. For decades, its disarticulated parts were mistaken for multiple unrelated organisms, highlighting the challenge of reconstructing life from incomplete evidence. Only through careful comparative anatomy, detailed mapping of fossil beds, and integration of trace evidence could the scientific community recognize it as a singular predator and apex hunter. This journey from misidentification to understanding mirrors the complexity and ingenuity of Cambrian life itself, a reminder that the most influential creatures are not always the ones preserved in pristine form, but those whose impact resonates through the patterns they leave behind. Ultimately, Anomalocaris emerges as a symbol of both the power and the mystery of early predation. Its body, designed for efficiency and lethality, left only fleeting evidence, yet its presence reshaped ecosystems, drove evolutionary innovation, and established the archetype of the apex predator in Earth's seas. Even without a complete fossil, its legacy can be traced in the scars of trilobites, the shifts in prey behavior, and the intricate dance of life on Cambrian seafloors. As we ponder this ghostly hunter, it becomes clear that the oceans have always harbored creatures whose true form may elude preservation, yet whose influence echoes through the evolutionary narrative, leading inevitably to predators yet more enigmatic, whose soft bodies would vanish almost entirely, leaving only subtle traces of their dominion. Opabinia, the five-eyed hunter. In the wake of apex dominance, smaller predators carved out niches defined by precision and ingenuity, inhabiting the Cambrian seas with an elegance that belied their effectiveness. Among them, Opabinia regalis emerges as a soft-bodied hunter whose alien anatomy is known only through its ecological presence, a creature both delicate and deadly, gliding through waters teeming with trilobites and other arthropods. Its elongated, segmented body undulated with rhythmic control, while lateral flaps provided subtle propulsion, allowing the predator to hover above the seafloor with minimal energy, scanning for opportunities in the densely populated Cambrian ecosystem. Opabinia's body was a marvel of Cambrian experimentation, a segmented form crowned with 5 independent, stalked eyes that surveyed the world from multiple angles. Each eye projected outward on a flexible stalk, providing overlapping fields of vision that allowed constant awareness of movement across the surrounding reef. Such visual sophistication granted the predator an extraordinary ability to track prey, even in dimly lit waters, guiding its proboscis and flaps with precise timing. Beyond mere vision, Opabinia's 5 eyes likely worked in concert with subtle body cues, allowing it to synchronize movement with environmental rhythms. This coordination could have helped the predator detect fluctuations in currents, shifts in sediment, or the shadow of nearby prey, enhancing its ability to strike with accuracy. By interpreting these physical signals alongside visual input, Opabinia may have predicted prey behavior before making contact. This integration of sensory and mechanical feedback would have transformed its hunting from reactive to anticipatory, allowing it to exploit microhabitats and temporal windows inaccessible to less specialized predators. Such ecological insight demonstrates that even creatures without hard parts could exert a remarkable influence over their surroundings. Each eye, mounted upon a flexible stalk, expanded its visual coverage far beyond the static limitations of most contemporaneous arthropods, enabling an almost panoramic perception of its surroundings. This unusual arrangement allowed the predator to monitor both the sea floor and the water column simultaneously, a crucial advantage for hunting small, agile prey that relied on sudden, jerky movements to escape. Visual acuity likely influenced hunting success, as trilobites and juvenile arthropods had little opportunity to flee undetected from a predator with such surveillance. The proboscis, tipped with a claw-like appendage, could extend and retract with astonishing dexterity, allowing the predator to probe narrow crevices, lift prey from the substrate, and manipulate struggling animals with precision. Its flexible appendage effectively transformed the Cambrian seafloor into a 3-dimensional hunting ground, blending both reach and fine motor control. This combination of precision and adaptability made Opabinia a predator capable of exploiting microhabitats invisible to larger hunters. Lateral flaps along the body undulated in synchrony, producing controlled bursts of movement that enabled it to hover just above the seafloor, adjusting orientation with minimal energy expenditure. This locomotion system provided exceptional maneuverability, allowing the predator to approach prey stealthily and retreat rapidly if threatened. The tail fan contributed additional thrust, creating a balance between agility and speed that was critical in a world where even soft-bodied predators faced competitive pressures and occasional encounters with larger hunters. Prey species, from small trilobites to juvenile arthropods, bore subtle but telling traces of Opabinia's hunting, suggesting both opportunistic and targeted feeding strategies. Tiny displacements of sediment and subtle movements of prey bodies hint at the predator's ability to strike with precision and retreat without becoming ensnared. These interactions left evolutionary imprints on prey morphology, favouring traits such as defensive spines and thicker exoskeletons, a testament to the selective influence of a hunter whose presence is inferred through its ecological impact rather than physical remains. Detailed analysis of limb articulation indicates that Opabinia could subtly twist and angle its lateral flaps independently, creating microcurrents that may have assisted in dislodging sediment-bound prey or maintaining stability in variable water flows. These micro-adjustments suggest that the predator was capable of remarkable fine-tuned control over its position in the water column, hovering precisely over uneven seafloor topography. Such subtle manipulations of fluid flow could have aided in uncovering hidden trilobites or deterring smaller scavengers from approaching its capture zone. The combination of this flapping precision with the independently movable proboscis implies a predator that integrated sensory input, mechanical dexterity, and hydrodynamic awareness into a single, coordinated hunting strategy. These behaviours highlight the intricate ecological interactions of Cambrian soft-bodied predators, demonstrating that influence in early ecosystems could be exerted even by creatures leaving no tangible remains. Even without leaving tangible traces, Opabinia shaped the behaviour of entire benthic communities through its presence. Prey species may have altered feeding patterns, migration routes, or protective behaviours in response to this invisible predator. Smaller hunters and scavengers could have avoided areas dominated by Opabinia, creating pockets of ecological refuge or subtly shifting the distribution of biomass on the seafloor. Such indirect effects reveal that the predator's impact extended far beyond its immediate hunting grounds, influencing competition, prey evolution, and community structure. Its existence demonstrates that ecological dominance does not require physical durability. Influence can manifest through behaviour, presence, and interaction alone, leaving lasting imprints on the dynamics of early Cambrian ecosystems. The structure of Opabinia's soft body suggests it could navigate complex reef surfaces with surprising agility, exploiting microhabitats invisible to larger predators. Its hunting range likely extended across shallow, nutrient-rich regions where sediment flow and reef complexity created abundant prey opportunities. These environmental interactions illustrate how soft-bodied predators shaped early marine ecosystems, even in the absence of durable skeletons or exoskeletons, exerting influence through presence and behaviour rather than physical evidence. As we consider the peculiar anatomy and fleeting presence of Opabinia, its existence reminds us that even the most bizarre predators left subtle yet profound marks on their ecosystems. Its 5 eyes, precise proboscis, and undulating flaps reveal a creature capable of both sophistication and subtlety, excelling alongside larger hunters in a world where soft-bodied forms dominated microhabitats. In contemplating this strange and agile predator, we are invited to imagine the Cambrian seas filled with invisible architects of ecological balance, creatures whose influence is felt more than seen, hinting at predators even more enigmatic, whose presence can only be inferred from the living world around them. Pamdelurian, the hidden leviathan. Beyond the stealthy maneuvers of smaller hunters, the Cambrian seafloor harboured enormous, soft-bodied predators whose presence reshaped entire regions. Within this assemblage, Pamdelurian rises as a hidden leviathan, its elongated, segmented body stretching tens of centimetres across nutrient-rich seabeds. Unlike smaller, agile hunters, this Lobopodian exerted influence not merely through precision but through sheer scale. Its flexible form, dominating benthic landscapes and subtly dictating the behaviour of surrounding creatures. Every movement, from a slow crawl to an undulating glide, communicated presence, orchestrating an invisible web of ecological interactions that extended far beyond immediate prey encounters. Pamdelurian's trunk was a study in flexibility and power, composed of repeating segments that could bend, twist, and compress with remarkable control. This modular structure allowed the predator to navigate uneven substrates, maneuver around obstacles, and adjust its body to exploit both tight crevices and open sediment expanses. Each segment worked in harmony with adjacent lobes, producing fluid, energy-efficient locomotion that kept the Leviathan poised above the seafloor, ready to strike or retreat as ecological circumstances demanded. Its soft body made it invisible in physical remains, yet every ripple of sediment it disturbed spoke volumes about its influence in the Cambrian world. Frontal lobes extended forward like sweeping grappling limbs, capable of probing beneath sediment, lifting prey, or deflecting obstacles in its path. These appendages, both powerful and supple, allowed Pamdelurian to manipulate the environment as effectively as it captured food, blending predatory skill with environmental engineering. By reaching into narrow spaces, it could access prey unavailable to less flexible predators, while its sheer size deterred smaller hunters from venturing too close. In this way, Pamdelurian carved out a unique ecological niche, occupying zones that combined reach, control, and regional dominance. Lateral flaps undulated along the body in coordinated waves, generating propulsion and stability as the predator moved across the seafloor. These movements allowed precise hovering over prey, energy-efficient cruising, and agile adjustments in response to currents or terrain shifts. The tail lobe provided bursts of speed, enabling rapid repositioning when the Leviathan encountered competitors or unexpected obstacles. Together, these locomotor adaptations reveal a predator whose mastery over movement rivaled the sophistication of smaller, more visually dependent hunters, emphasizing control over territory as much as individual prey capture. By preying selectively, Pamdelurian influenced the distribution and behavior of entire benthic communities. Smaller animals shifted feeding patterns, adjusted migration routes, and avoided regions dominated by their presence. The Leviathan's hunting strategies, whether ambush or slow foraging, created pockets of relative safety and subtly reshaped biomass across the seabed. In this way, its soft, flexible form left no tangible trace, yet orchestrated the rhythm of life around it, demonstrating that ecological dominance can exist independently of physical evidence. Its influence extended even to the sediment itself, as the leviathan's movements subtly reshaped the seafloor landscape. As Pamdelurian glided or crawled, its broad, undulating flanks displaced fine sediment and microbial mats, creating microcurrents that could uncover hidden prey or redirect smaller organisms. By disturbing the substrate, it inadvertently engineered miniature habitats, trails of exposed nutrients, and subtle depressions that provided opportunities for scavengers and opportunistic feeders. This indirect environmental manipulation magnified its ecological footprint, allowing a soft-bodied predator to influence not just prey behavior, but also the physical structure of benthic communities. Even without durable structures, the leviathan functioned as both hunter and ecosystem architect, leaving its mark through the living landscape rather than fossilized remains. Tiny sensory structures along anterior segments likely coordinated with its massive body, allowing the predator to interpret changes in current, sediment, and prey movement. By integrating these inputs with undulating motions of its trunk and flaps, Pamdelurian could respond to environmental cues instantaneously, adjusting posture, speed, and direction with fluid precision. This seamless connection between perception and action allowed the leviathan to exploit fleeting opportunities and avoid unnecessary energy expenditure, transforming its hunting strategy into a model of efficiency and ecological foresight. These regional giants likely favoured shallow, nutrient-rich zones where prey was abundant and the seafloor provided both cover and manoeuvring space. Dense microbial mats, interspersed with scattered sedimentary structures, created a complex landscape that Pamdelurian could traverse with ease. In contrast, larger apex predators were limited in their ability to exploit these microhabitats, granting the lobopodian a unique advantage. Its dominance in such zones illustrates how size, flexibility, and behavioral sophistication combine to allow predators without durable structures to control portions of early Cambrian ecosystems. Movement patterns inferred from its body plan suggest that Pamdelurian alternated between stealthy ambush and energetic roaming, conserving energy while maximizing prey encounters. By adjusting the amplitude of its lateral flaps and the orientation of its trunk, it could cover extensive areas while remaining sensitive to subtle environmental signals. Such versatility in hunting style demonstrates that ecological influence is not solely determined by visual acuity or armor, but by the ability to adapt dynamically to habitat, prey, and competitive pressures. The integration of scale, sensory coordination, and predatory specialization illustrates how lobopodians like Pamdelurian shaped early predator-prey dynamics. Through the manipulation of their environment and behavioral presence, they affected community structure, prey evolution, and ecosystem function, leaving an imprint on Cambrian life that transcends the absence of physical remains. Their dominance shows that impact can be exerted invisibly through influence and control rather than preservation, emphasizing the subtlety of soft-bodied predation in shaping evolutionary pathways. During its expansion across the seabed, Pamdelurian exemplifies how predators without fossils could govern entire regions, directing the behavior of prey, competitors, and scavengers alike. Its flexible body, sweeping appendages, and coordinated sensory movement system reveal a creature that defined ecological space, asserting dominance not through tangible remains, but through presence, motion, and subtle environmental manipulation. In contemplating this hidden leviathan, we glimpse a world where influence was measured not by what survived the ages, but by the rhythms, interactions, and networks of life it orchestrated, hinting at predators yet more powerful, whose dominion extended far beyond any single habitat. Anomalocaridid giants of the Ordovician. While Pamdelurian belonged to the Cambrian seas, its ecological role hinted at the kinds of large predators that would later appear in the Ordovician. During this period, some nectonic hunters, descended from Cambrian radiodonts, like Anomalocaris, developed elongated, flexible bodies capable of sweeping over soft sediment seafloors. Trace fossils and feeding marks suggest these predators influenced the distribution and behavior of smaller organisms, even if their bodies rarely fossilized. Through repeated hunting sweeps, these hunters likely structured local communities, creating zones of high and low prey activity. Even without skeletons to preserve them, their impact was recorded in the subtle patterns of Ordovician ecosystems. These giants possessed lateral flaps and tail structures that coordinated in broad, sweeping motions, generating propulsion sufficient to traverse kilometers of seafloor with remarkable efficiency. The flexibility of their segmented trunks allowed them to bend, twist, and arch in 3 dimensions, enabling both ambush strikes and extended pursuit of elusive prey. Their sheer mass created microcurrents and sediment displacement, subtly altering the seafloor structure and uncovering hidden food resources. In this way, their dominance was not merely predatory, but also geomorphic, reshaping the habitat through movement alone. Massive frontal appendages extended forward like powerful grappling arms, tipped with claw-like structures capable of capturing multiple prey simultaneously. These raptorial limbs allowed the giants to probe sediment, grasp scattered organisms, and coordinate strikes with astonishing precision. Their reach enabled them to dominate vast hunting grounds, outcompeting smaller predators while maintaining access to a wide range of benthic prey. By sweeping the substrate and water column with coordinated movements, they maximized the capture of prey that might otherwise escape detection, asserting influence on a scale unseen in Cambrian ecosystems. Coordinated undulations of lateral flaps and tail segments provided both thrust and stability, balancing the predator's enormous size with energy-efficient locomotion. By adjusting the amplitude and frequency of these undulations, the leviathans could hover silently above the seafloor or surge forward with sudden bursts of speed. This adaptability allowed them to exploit both open plains and structurally complex reef edges, shifting seamlessly between ambush and roaming strategies. In doing so, they combined efficiency, stealth, and reach into a singular, dominating presence. Their influence extended beyond direct predation, subtly shaping the behavior and distribution of smaller organisms. Benthic species adjusted feeding, migration, and sheltering patterns in response to the predator's presence, creating an invisible ripple effect throughout the community. Even the smallest organisms participated in this ecological choreography, their movements dictated by the unseen sway of a predator that left no durable remains. In this way, Ordovician ecosystems were molded as much by presence and behavior as by tangible interactions, highlighting the profound power of soft-bodied giants. Sensory structures along the body likely provided continuous environmental feedback, coordinating movements with subtle shifts in sediment, currents, and prey activity. By integrating these cues with the mechanics of undulating flaps and frontal appendages, these predators could respond instantly to opportunities or threats. Such coordination would have allowed simultaneous monitoring of multiple prey items and environmental variables, a necessity for creatures operating across expansive territories. Their hunting was thus a dynamic interplay between perception, motion, and ecological intelligence, all executed without leaving concrete traces. Even the subtle oscillations of their bodies may have influenced the microscopic world, stirring nutrients and microbial communities in ways that reverberated through the seafloor ecosystem. As these giants glided or hovered just above the sediment, the gentle movement of their vast flaps likely generated microcurrents, redistributing detritus, plankton, and fine particles across the substrate. This constant environmental stirring could have enhanced nutrient availability for smaller organisms, subtly fostering localized productivity hotspots. By indirectly engineering microhabitats, the predators not only influenced prey distribution, but also the growth and activity of the smallest members of the ecosystem. In this way, their presence extended beyond direct predation, shaping both macro and microscopic life through motion alone, a testament to the profound impact soft-bodied giants could exert without ever leaving a physical trace behind. Preferred hunting grounds likely included nutrient-rich open plains and areas adjacent to reef edges, where prey densities were highest and competition from other predators was minimized. By occupying these expansive zones, the giants could maintain dominance while exerting influence over a broad swath of the seafloor. Their size allowed them to access food resources unavailable to smaller predators, while their mobility ensured they could traverse large areas efficiently. This strategic distribution amplified their ecological footprint, demonstrating how influence can scale with size and behavior rather than fossil preservation. Behavioral flexibility characterized these leviathans, alternating between slow, deliberate ambushes and energetic roaming depending on prey availability and environmental conditions. Ambush hunting allowed for energy conservation and precise targeting, while roaming behavior enabled broad territory coverage and opportunistic feeding. This versatility ensured survival in a competitive Ordovician seafloor where prey species were abundant but alert, and other predators vied for limited resources. The giants' success lay not in the durability of their bodies, but in the sophistication of their strategies and adaptability to diverse habitats. The ecological significance of these predators lies in their capacity to structure food webs invisibly. Through movement, hunting, and environmental interaction, they dictated prey behavior, influenced competitor activity, and indirectly shaped the evolution of benthic communities. Even in the absence of durable structures, their presence created selective pressures that rippled through the ecosystem, favoring prey with heightened awareness, evasive capabilities, and habitat flexibility. These giants exemplify the notion that ecological power need not be tied to fossilization. Impact can be measured in influence rather than remains. Amid their dominion radiating across Ordovician seafloors, these colossal predators illustrate how unseen giants could govern ecosystems at a scale unmatched by their Cambrian predecessors. Their vast bodies, coordinated hunting appendages, and subtle environmental interactions reveal creatures capable of reshaping entire communities without leaving a trace for future observers. In contemplating these anomalocaridid giants, we are reminded that the fossil record captures only a fragment of life's past, and that some of the most consequential architects of early marine ecosystems exercised power through presence, movement, and ecological orchestration rather than preservation. Tully monster, the Carboniferous enigma. By the middle of the Carboniferous, roughly 330 million years ago, a predator known as Tully monstrum had evolved a form that defied conventional classification. Its soft, elongated body gliding through dim, vegetation-clogged waterways Its presence was never recorded in bones or armor, yet the subtle trembling of fish and small invertebrates hinted at an invisible hunter influencing local ecosystems. Unlike the anomalocaridids of the Ordovician, Tullimonstrum relied on precision, stealth, and fluid anatomy to exploit ecological niches inaccessible to bulkier predators. Each sweep of its lateral fins and gentle contraction of its trunk allowed it to navigate the silty floor with barely a ripple, shaping prey behavior through unseen force alone. Its body, delicately segmented and supported by muscular hydrostatic structures, provided both flexibility and resilience, allowing the predator to bend, twist, and arch as it navigated complex microhabitats. Lateral fins along the sides acted as stabilizers and subtle propulsion devices, generating small currents that maintained balance while masking its approach. The tail fin, broad and gently tapered, augmented thrust and allowed agile adjustments to direction, creating a seamless balance between stealth and mobility. This combination of anatomical specialization allowed the predator to exploit both open water and intricate reef margins, accessing prey that smaller or less maneuverable hunters could not reach. The feeding apparatus extended from a tubular, claw-like proboscis, capable of probing crevices, grasping small prey, and delicately manipulating captured organisms. Its reach allowed it to extract food hidden beneath layers of detritus or buried within sediment, transforming the surrounding environment into a three-dimensional hunting arena. With every extension and retraction, the predator demonstrated both finesse and power, capturing prey while maintaining balance and orientation in the water column. This precise integration of body mechanics and feeding strategy revealed a level of sophistication unmatched by most contemporaneous predators. Undulating movements of lateral fins and subtle body contractions provided silent propulsion, enabling Tullimonstrum to approach its prey without detection. Unlike the sweeping dominance of Ordovician giants, this predator's subtle, controlled motions made it a ghostly presence within its ecosystem. By hovering above the seafloor or weaving through vegetation, it could select targets carefully, minimizing wasted effort and maximizing the success of each strike. The integration of locomotion and sensory feedback ensured that even the slightest movement of prey could be detected and acted upon immediately, reflecting a predator whose influence extended beyond brute force. Reacting to its presence, vulnerable creatures modified their behavior with heightened vigilance and strategic positioning, altering feeding, movement, and sheltering behaviors. These responses were more than defensive. They shaped the structure of the microhabitat itself by subtly influencing the distribution and activity of smaller organisms. Tullimonstrum orchestrated a cascade of ecological effects, demonstrating that soft-bodied hunters could wield power not through sheer size or aggression, but through the indirect manipulation of behavior. The ecosystem itself became a reflection of its hunting strategy, a testament to the unseen dominion exerted by a creature that left no durable trace. The mere passage of its undulating form through dense waters could generate microcurrents, redistributing nutrients and subtly altering the composition of plankton and detritus around it. These hydrodynamic effects created transient zones of increased nutrient availability, encouraging the growth of microbial and small invertebrate communities that formed the base of local food webs. By indirectly engineering these microhabitats, Tullimonstrum enhanced its own hunting success as prey became concentrated or repositioned in ways that favored interception. Its presence reshaped energy flows and spatial patterns in the immediate environment, extending its influence beyond direct predation. In this way, the Tully monster exemplified a form of ecosystem engineering, leaving an invisible legacy through movement and behavior, reinforcing the idea that the most powerful predators could shape life without leaving physical evidence behind. Sensory structures, likely distributed along the body and head region, provided continuous environmental feedback, integrating tactile, chemical, and hydrodynamic cues to guide hunting and navigation. Coordinating these inputs with subtle contractions of the trunk and fin movements, the predator could track multiple prey items simultaneously, adjust to shifting currents, and respond to threats with immediate precision. This level of sensory integration allowed the predator to operate effectively in murky or structurally complex waters where prey could otherwise evade detection. Its hunting was therefore as much a performance of perception and timing as of physical capture. Calm, nutrient-rich estuarine zones and marginal reef habitats offered ideal hunting grounds, where prey densities were high and competition was minimized. Tully monstrum exploited these zones efficiently, moving with a combination of stealth and calculated bursts of speed to intercept unsuspecting organisms. Its choice of habitat reflected both strategy and energy economy, favoring areas where subtle, flexible predation could outcompete more conspicuous or less maneuverable predators. Even in these densely populated environments, the predator's presence influenced prey distribution and behavior, reinforcing its ecological authority without leaving a trace in the physical record. Behavioral versatility defined this hunter, alternating between patient ambushes and short, agile pursuits depending on prey availability and environmental complexity. Ambush allowed it to conserve energy while targeting vulnerable prey, whereas roaming movements expanded the reach of its influence and ensured the exploitation of scattered food resources. This duality of behavior reflected an evolutionary strategy shaped by efficiency, sensory awareness, and ecological context, illustrating how soft-bodied predators could dominate microhabitats without relying on size or external armor. Tully monstrum's ecological significance extended beyond individual hunting events, affecting prey morphology, behavior, and community structure over time. By exerting continuous selective pressure, the predator influenced the evolution of evasive strategies, camouflage, and microhabitat choice, shaping entire food webs invisibly. Even without fossilized remains, its presence was written into the living dynamics of carboniferous waterways, demonstrating that the legacy of predation could be measured in influence, adaptation, and ecological consequence rather than preserved remains. In contemplating this enigmatic hunter, we recognize that the Carboniferous seas, like those of earlier eras, hosted predators whose sophistication and subtlety left enduring marks on prey evolution. The combination of flexible anatomy, precise feeding, and environmental manipulation highlights a form of predation where presence mattered more than preservation and where influence echoed across generations. As we imagine the Tully monster gliding silently through its aquatic realm, we are reminded that some of the most consequential architects of marine ecosystems operated unseen, shaping life in ways that endure even when the fossil record remains silent. Paleoctopus, the Permian phantom, the very architecture of Permian reefs and seagrass meadows bore silent testimony to an unseen architect of the benthic world. The Paleoctopus moved through these spaces with deliberate precision, its soft, muscular mantle flexing to fold through crevices, glide along dense vegetation, or hover over open basins without leaving a trace. In an age where predators diversified rapidly, it exploited niches inaccessible to larger hunters, asserting control over mollusks, small arthropods, and myriad other invertebrates. Every subtle movement orchestrated prey behavior and ecosystem rhythms, a quiet dominion written in the responses of life itself rather than in stone. The mantle itself acted as both propulsion and camouflage, compressing to jet forward or expanding to drift silently. Minute adjustments in body shape allowed it to navigate labyrinthine reef corridors and recessed crevices while remaining virtually undetectable. The cephalopod could shift its volume to produce subtle water currents, disturbing sediment in a controlled manner to flush prey from hiding spots. These micro-movements, barely perceptible, ensured that hunting was as much an orchestration of the environment as a direct act of predation, blending biomechanics and strategy in perfect balance. In the dimly lit recesses of the sea floor, minute colour and texture changes became part of its arsenal. The Paleoctopus could manipulate subtle shifts in skin pigmentation and surface texture to blend seamlessly with reefs, seagrass, or sediment patches, creating near-invisible ambush zones. These adaptations allowed it not only to approach prey undetected, but also to evade larger, more aggressive predators. By coordinating colour modulation with fin and mantle movements, it could produce dynamic visual illusions, freezing prey in hesitation or masking its own presence entirely. Even without a skeleton, this soft-bodied predator exerted profound ecological influence, shaping behaviour and interactions in the Permian seas. Tentacles radiated outward, each capable of independent motion and subtle force modulation. They probed narrow spaces between rocks, lifted delicate prey from the substrate, and restrained struggling animals with precision. Suckers along each limb acted as both sensory and manipulative organs, detecting slight vibrations while adjusting grip strength to avoid damaging soft-bodied targets. By coordinating multiple appendages, the Paleoctopus could secure prey while maintaining readiness to counter sudden environmental shifts or the approach of rival predators, exemplifying a predator whose mastery lay in finesse rather than aggression. Its locomotion extended beyond mantle propulsion. Paired fins along the body provided stabilization and nuanced directional control, enabling hovering just above the seafloor, circling potential prey, or retreating with calculated swiftness. Small tail flaps allowed fine rotational adjustments, granting the predator unparalleled maneuverability in complex terrains. This combination of flapping and jetting meant it could patrol a wide area, maintain position in fluctuating currents, and approach prey silently, making it a ghostly presence that dominated both movement and attention in its hunting zones. Distributed sensory nodes across the skin offered continuous feedback on chemical, tactile, and hydrodynamic signals, creating a dynamic awareness of surroundings. Changes in water pressure, subtle vibrations from prey locomotion, and chemical traces of nearby organisms informed its every decision. By integrating this information, the Paleoctopus could anticipate the movement of prey, avoid obstacles, and detect competitors without reliance on visual confirmation. Its body functioned as an extension of perception, translating environmental subtleties into coordinated action in a world where invisibility equaled power. The predator's presence subtly reshaped the behavior of prey species. Mollusks, arthropods, and juvenile cephalopods adjusted foraging patterns, sought more protected microhabitats, or adopted clustering strategies to reduce vulnerability. Even organisms too small to escape detection felt the influence, as currents and shadows orchestrated by the Paleoctopus changed the distribution of nutrients and risk. In a realm where physical remains failed to endure, its ecological influence was nevertheless profound, demonstrating that dominance could manifest entirely through behavioral and environmental modulation rather than anatomical preservation. Specific microhabitats favored its hunting techniques. Shallow basins, reef edges, and channels rich in plankton and small invertebrates became arenas of precise predation. Here, the cephalopod exploited both terrain and prey density, hovering in nutrient-rich waters or weaving through complex structures. Its soft, flexible body allowed access to zones impenetrable to more rigid predators, granting both safety and opportunity. The predator's choice of habitat underscores an intelligence in environmental selection, revealing that soft-bodied forms could thrive by understanding space, flow, and prey distribution, rather than relying on raw force. Behavioral flexibility further amplified its dominance. The Paleoctopus could shift from ambush to pursuit, modulate its approach according to water clarity or prey activity, and employ tentacle coordination that simultaneously sensed, manipulated, and restrained. Each strike was calculated, conserving energy while maximizing success. Rival soft-bodied predators or scavengers had to negotiate around these patterns, finding niches left unexploited. This subtle orchestration demonstrates a sophisticated ecological strategy, where influence was exerted through movement, presence, and predatory finesse, rather than skeletal or armor-based intimidation. Microcurrents generated by its swimming and fin movements altered local distributions of detritus and plankton, creating transient zones that concentrated prey in predictable patterns. By navigating these currents, the predator effectively engineered its hunting environment, enhancing efficiency without leaving lasting physical traces. Even the smallest organisms were affected, drawn into or displaced by invisible flows created by a creature whose impact was defined by motion and influence. In this way, the Paleoctopus shaped energy flow, prey accessibility, and competitive dynamics entirely through soft-bodied activity, a testament to the power of the unseen hunter. Across hidden channels and shadowed reef edges, the presence of this soft-bodied phantom dictated the movement, survival, and evolution of countless organisms. Tentacles probing, mantle flexing, and fins adjusting to currents orchestrated a world of subtle ecological choreography. Its mastery of stealth, sensory integration, and environmental manipulation enabled the Paleoctopus to enforce patterns of predation, resource allocation, and niche occupation without leaving physical evidence. As this predator traversed the Permian seas, it embodied the profound principle that the most consequential hunters are not always those preserved in stone, but those whose influence reverberates through the living fabric of their ecosystems. Pelagiotholus, the Triassic shadow. Shadows moved through the open ocean, hinting at a presence that prey could sense but never see. Pelagiotholus, a hypothesized giant pelagic predator, dominated the Triassic seas not through visible remains, but through the subtle reorganization of its ecosystem. Its immense, flexible body allowed it to patrol vast open waters, exerting influence over schooling fish, small marine reptiles, and cephalopods. With a combination of speed, agility, and near-invisible predatory behavior, it redefined how marine life interacted across hundreds of kilometers of ocean, leaving no direct evidence behind, yet shaping patterns of survival and predation in profound ways. Silent undulations shaped currents in ways that altered the course of small vertebrates, guiding them unwittingly. Each movement of its mantle or fin created microturbulence, influencing the swimming paths of prey schools and subtly herding them toward ambush zones. Pelagiotholus may have exploited these fluid dynamics to conserve energy while maintaining control over its hunting range, demonstrating that even entirely soft-bodied predators could could manipulate their environment with precision. These interactions likely forced prey species to develop heightened sensitivity to water movement and collective evasion strategies, a behavioral evolution triggered solely by the presence of an unseen hunter. The giant's immense, flexible form could have displaced water with every motion, creating invisible barriers or traps. Its body, elongated and muscular, allowed for instantaneous changes in direction while maintaining a stealthy glide that avoided detection. By moving through vertical and horizontal water layers, Palagiotholus may have shaped microhabitats, creating zones of fear where smaller animals avoided the open pelagic realm altogether. Such invisible corridors of influence restructured entire trophic layers, demonstrating how a predator's power could extend far beyond what was physically observed, leaving no tangible remains to mark its dominion. Reaching appendages, or muscular fins, allowed subtle guidance of fleeing fish, coordinating strikes without detection. Flexible limbs or fin-like extensions may have extended from its torso, enabling precise control of water flow and prey position. These appendages could have isolated individual targets from dense schools, ensuring successful capture while minimizing effort. Even in the absence of rigid skeletons or defensive armor, such soft-bodied dexterity allowed Palagiotholus to enforce its will over mid-sized prey, sculpting population dynamics silently, invisibly, yet with ecological consequence. Affected organisms adapted, shifting depths and schooling patterns in response to unseen pressure. Small vertebrates learned to avoid certain water columns, altering feeding times and migratory behavior under the constant influence of a predator they never glimpsed. These adaptations were not the result of physical predation marks, but of subtle environmental cues and behavioral responses, evidence of an evolutionary pressure applied entirely through presence. Such indirect influence underscores the idea that some of the most transformative predators left no trace in stone, but left enduring patterns in the living world. Energy pathways across the ecosystem were redefined, flowing where the predator's influence was strongest. By shaping prey availability and movement, Palagiotholus indirectly controlled the distribution of nutrients and energy from lower trophic levels to apex predation zones. Its untraceable hunting altered competition among smaller predators and scavengers, creating a cascade of ecological effects that reverberated through the Triassic oceans. In essence, the predator operated as an invisible conductor, orchestrating the rhythm and flow of marine life without a tangible body to preserve its memory. Ripples of influence radiated outward, affecting not only immediate prey, but the broader dynamics of oceanic life. Palagiotholus's movements may have subtly altered patterns of plankton aggregation, guiding the distribution of microscopic organisms that formed the base of the food web. By steering larger prey through invisible currents and pressure zones, it indirectly created nutrient hotspots, allowing certain species to flourish while others were displaced. These cascading effects highlight the predator's capacity to shape both micro and macro-scale ecosystems simultaneously, demonstrating that apex influence can exist entirely without preservation. In essence, Palagiotholus functioned as a hidden ecosystem engineer, its presence discernible only through the behaviors, distributions, and survival strategies of the creatures around it. Oceanic rhythms, from seasonal migrations to spawning aggregations, were subtly redirected by its presence. Fish schools, cephalopod nurseries, and smaller pelagic reptiles may have adjusted timing and pathways to avoid the shadow of this unseen giant. The predator's influence likely extended across thousands of square kilometers, shaping behavior and survival without ever leaving a fossil record. These widespread effects reveal how apex predators could dominate ecosystems entirely through behavioral manipulation, predatory pressure, and environmental interaction, rather than physical remains. Interaction zones with other large marine hunters emphasized its dominance without ever being directly observed. Competitors, from large dirophagus fishes to aggressive cephalopods, were forced to negotiate spaces altered by Pelagiotholus's presence, retreating from areas where hunting pressure was greatest. This silent competition reinforced its ecological authority, demonstrating that even soft-bodied giants could control entire regions of the pelagic realm. Its mastery of influence was not recorded in bones or shells, but in the altered behaviors and distributions of other species, a testament to the hidden power of invisible predators. Cascading effects reached even the smallest plankton and midwater organisms, highlighting its pervasive influence. By steering schools of larger prey, Palagiotholus indirectly shaped grazing patterns, nutrient cycling, and reproductive opportunities for lower trophic organisms. The predator's reach thus extended to virtually every level of the food web, ensuring that its presence, though unrecorded in stone, dictated the pulse of the ecosystem. These indirect effects highlight how soft-bodied apex predators could wield disproportionate ecological power, sculpting marine life on a scale comparable to the most visible hunters. Darkness and motion intertwined, revealing that some of the most decisive architects of marine evolution left no tangible trace, yet shaped life on a monumental scale. Palagiotholus's dominion exemplifies the paradox of invisibility, a creature capable of enormous ecological influence without ever being preserved for posterity. By directing prey behavior, manipulating currents, and silently orchestrating energy flow, it enforced a subtle order over the Triassic oceans, demonstrating that the absence of physical evidence does not equate to the absence of power. The predator's legacy persisted in the behaviors, adaptations, and evolutionary trajectories of countless species, hinting at the hidden architects of marine history whose forms we may never see. Jurassic kraken, the abyssal phantom, evidence of influence, subtle yet unmistakable, hinted at a colossal predator shaping Jurassic midwater communities long before direct observation could occur. Known to researchers as the Jurassic kraken, this vast, soft-bodied organism exerted control over pelagic ecosystems through precise movement, predation, and environmental manipulation rather than brute force or visible armor. Its domain spanned open waters beyond reefs and continental shelves, where prey congregated in deep scattering layers and light barely penetrated. Here, reach, coordination, and sensory finesse dictated survival, allowing the kraken to orchestrate interactions and assert dominance without ever leaving a tangible trace. The Jurassic kraken is envisioned as a colossal cephalopod-like predator, propelled by powerful mantle contractions and guided by elongated, muscular appendages capable of rapid extension across several body lengths. These limbs likely functioned as both capture tools and sensory arrays, detecting vibrations, pressure changes, and chemical traces in water masses shaped by tides and thermoclines. Rather than pursuing prey in prolonged chases, this predator would have relied on ambush and interception, positioning itself along migratory pathways used by belemnites, early fishes, and other nectonic organisms. Such a strategy allowed the kraken to influence population dynamics across wide regions while remaining almost entirely invisible within the physical record. Elongated feeding appendages would have transformed open water into a lethal reach zone. Flexible arms equipped with suction-based gripping structures could extend far beyond the body's core mass, increasing the effective hunting radius without revealing the predator's full silhouette. Once contact was made, rotational forces generated by coordinated arm movements could restrain prey almost instantly, neutralizing escape responses before effective counter-movement occurred. This method of capture prioritized control over damage, allowing the predator to subdue a wide range of prey sizes without relying on rigid crushing mechanisms. Injury patterns on fast-moving prey suggest sudden interception rather than prolonged pursuit. Abrupt shell fractures, asymmetrical damage, and localized stress points imply encounters characterized by surprise and overpowering grip rather than chases through open water. Such interactions would favor predators capable of predicting movement corridors, particularly along vertical migration routes used by nectonic organisms transitioning between feeding and refuge depths. The resulting selective pressure encouraged prey species to alter timing, speed, and group behavior, reshaping daily movement cycles across entire marine communities. Modern giant squid offer a living framework for understanding how such a predator might operate unseen. These contemporary analogues demonstrate how immense size can coexist with extreme flexibility, sensory acuity, and rapid neural processing. Distributed neural networks within the arms allow semi-independent movement, enabling complex manipulation even in low visibility environments. Applied to Jurassic conditions, this neurological architecture would have allowed a massive predator to respond dynamically to prey behavior, adjusting grip strength, orientation, and feeding strategy in real time. Vertical migration routes became ambush corridors rather than safe passage. As prey species moved upward at night to feed and descended by day to avoid surface predators, deep water hunters could exploit predictability within these patterns. Positioning themselves below ascending prey placed the predator in a gravitationally advantageous stance, reducing escape efficiency while increasing strike success. Over time, this dynamic transformed the water column itself into contested territory, where depth was no longer a refuge, but a variable shaped by predatory influence. Neural coordination between arms, mantle, and siphon implies a predator capable of rapid tactical adjustment. Sensory input from mechanoreceptors detecting water displacement would allow precise tracking even without direct visual confirmation. Combined with advanced motor control, this sensory system supported adaptive hunting behaviors, including aborted strikes, reorientation, mid-capture, and selective targeting based on prey resistance. Such flexibility reduced injury risk and enhanced long-term survival in ecosystems where recovery from damage was energetically costly. Thermal layering within Jurassic oceans added another dimension to this predator's advantage, as temperature gradients created invisible boundaries that shaped movement and metabolism. By occupying cooler, denser water masses beneath warmer surface layers, the Jurassic kraken could remain energetically efficient while monitoring prey crossing these thermal thresholds. Sudden ascents or descents by nectonic organisms often coincided with physiological stress, briefly reducing reaction speed and coordination, moments that a deep-water hunter could exploit with precision. This ability to use temperature not merely as habitat, but as a tactical tool, transformed the ocean's vertical structure into an extension of the predator's hunting apparatus, reinforcing dominance without constant pursuit. Fear, rather than direct consumption alone, reshaped prey distribution across depth layers. Persistent threat altered schooling behavior, feeding schedules, and habitat selection, producing cascading effects throughout the food web. Smaller predators were forced into marginal zones, while primary consumers modified grazing patterns, indirectly influencing plankton dynamics and nutrient cycling. The predator's influence thus extended far beyond individual kills, embedding itself into the structural organization of Jurassic marine ecosystems. Absence of a body does not erase the energetic cost imposed on entire food webs. Predators of this scale demanded substantial caloric intake, redirecting energy flow through selective pressure rather than accumulation of remains. Their presence regulated population density, prevented monopolization of resources, and maintained ecological balance through constant behavioral enforcement. In this way, the predator functioned as a moving boundary condition, shaping ecosystems through influence rather than permanence. Hydrodynamic influence alone may have served as a form of indirect predation, as the movement of a massive, flexible body displaced water in ways smaller organisms could detect long before contact occurred. Pressure waves generated by slow mantle contractions or subtle arm adjustments would ripple outward, prompting evasive responses that scattered schools, disrupted feeding, and increased energetic expenditure among prey populations. Over time, this constant state of alert reshaped survival strategies, favoring heightened sensory sensitivity and rapid burst movement, even in the absence of direct attack. In this way, the Jurassic kraken exerted control not only through capture, but through the persistent manipulation of fear, motion, and exhaustion across the pelagic realm. As Jurassic waters grew increasingly crowded with large hunters, invisibility itself became a competitive advantage. While other predators evolved bulk, armor, and visible dominance, soft-bodied giants refined stealth, control, and spatial mastery. This contrast marked a turning point in marine predation, where success depended not only on size or force, but on the ability to shape environments without revealing form. In this shadowed balance between presence and concealment, the stage was set for future oceans, where predators would grow more visually imposing, even as the legacy of unseen architects continued to shape the seas beneath them. Cretaceous behemoth squid, pressure and shadow stretched endlessly, shaping a domain where a colossal predator could glide unnoticed, its immense body hidden beneath layers of twilight waters. Known among naturalists and researchers as the Cretaceous behemoth squid, this predator combined size, stealth, and flexibility in ways that allowed it to dominate the late Mesozoic pelagic zones. Occupying the mid-water column beyond reefs and continental shelves, it moved in currents shaped by tides and thermoclines, orchestrating predation without leaving any hard evidence behind. Its presence dictated the behavior of both prey and competing predators, subtly enforcing ecological order while remaining largely invisible. Currents carried more than nutrients. They transmitted signals of movement, vibrations that the behemoth squid could read to orchestrate strikes across vast pelagic spaces. Each undulation of its mantle, each minor adjustment of fin or siphon, created minute pressure waves that informed the predator of approaching schools of ammonites, juvenile mosasaurs, or fast-moving teleosts. In an ecosystem teeming with life, this sensory mastery allowed it to anticipate prey movements before direct contact, positioning its body along converging migration corridors where interception was most efficient. Muscular arms unfurled with silent authority, probing the depths, sensing subtle shifts in water density that betrayed the presence of unsuspecting prey. These appendages, elongated and highly flexible, functioned as both tactile sensors and lethal grasping tools, capable of immobilizing multiple targets simultaneously. Their reach extended far beyond the central body mass, enabling the predator to interact with its environment in 3 dimensions, capturing prey in areas that would be unreachable to any creature reliant on rigid limbs or armored protection. A body built for reach and control dominated the midwater column, extending influence over a range of creatures from ammonites to juvenile marine reptiles without revealing its full bulk. Mantle contractions provided propulsion while minimizing wake, allowing slow, deliberate movement that could transition instantly into rapid bursts when a strike was required. The behemoth squid's size and coordination meant it could enforce presence rather than brute force, subtly controlling predator-prey interactions across swathes of open ocean while remaining largely undetected. With coordination that exceeded simple grasping, tentacles could manipulate prey and environmental features with surprising sophistication. The behemoth squid could subtly redirect currents with precise arm positioning, corralling schools of small teleosts or steering belemnites into optimal capture zones. Minute adjustments of arm posture and mantle flow allowed it to exploit turbulence, using natural eddies to enhance stealth and efficiency. By combining tactile feedback with dynamic locomotion, it could intercept prey while conserving energy, executing strikes with timing that maximized success without alerting nearby competitors. Such multi-dimensional control transformed open water into an interactive hunting arena, where predation was as much about environmental orchestration as physical capture. Sudden encounters shaped evolutionary behavior as prey species adapted to the unseen pressures imposed by this shadowy hunter, altering migration paths and schooling patterns. Organisms adjusted depth usage, timing of vertical migrations, and escape responses to avoid the behemoth squid's ambush zones. The result was a cascading series of behavioral shifts that reshaped the midwater ecosystem, reinforcing the predator's influence far beyond individual kills, all without leaving a direct trace of its body or actions. Hydrodynamic mastery enabled ambush with fin, mantle, and arm movements synchronized to minimize turbulence while maximizing capture efficiency in the open ocean. Coordinated contractions produced subtle currents that guided prey toward immobilizing contact zones. The behemoth squid exploited variations in water density and flow, using micro-movements to maintain stability and position in unpredictable ocean layers, an essential skill for a soft-bodied predator whose survival depended on control rather than armor or bulk. Sensory acuity far exceeded visual reliance, allowing detection of chemical traces, microcurrents, and pressure gradients, all interpreted in real time to anticipate prey behavior. Its arms acted as distributed sensory arrays, detecting displacement patterns across the surrounding water, and signaling the central nervous system to adjust posture, fin angle, and strike trajectory instantly. In a world of low visibility and high competition, this network of sensory inputs allowed the behemoth squid to operate as an apex predator without the need for skeletal support or external protection. The predator's influence reached even beyond immediate prey, subtly shaping community structure across vertical and horizontal gradients. By maintaining positions along migration corridors, the behemoth squid imposed a persistent behavioral shadow, altering depth distribution, feeding patterns, and escape responses of multiple species. These invisible pressures created layered refuges and high-risk zones, essentially programming the midwater ecosystem without leaving a single trace of its body. Even competitors and scavengers adjusted routes and activity schedules in response, reinforcing the behemoth's ecological dominion. Its presence thus functioned as a silent regulator of energy flow, exemplifying how an apex predator could sculpt entire marine communities through influence alone. Dominion was enforced without a single visible mark, as presence alone reshaped energy flow, influenced predator-prey interactions, and subtly regulated population densities. Smaller predators were displaced from prime hunting zones, prey species altered feeding routines, and the midwater column itself became a contested arena, where depth and location were constantly negotiated under the unseen guidance of this soft-bodied giant. Its ecological influence rivaled that of far more conspicuous predators, demonstrating that impact does not depend on preservation, but on interaction and control. Stealth became the ultimate armor, allowing the behemoth squid to coexist with other giant predators, while exploiting niches where size, speed, and precision converged to create near-invisible dominance. Its vast, flexible mantle and long, dexterous arms enabled ambush predation on both fast-moving and well-defended prey. Even in encounters with other large marine hunters, it leveraged invisibility, spatial awareness, and environmental manipulation to assert advantage, turning concealment into a functional weapon as lethal as any claw, tooth, or shell. In the bustling seas of the late Cretaceous, this hidden leviathan exemplified the paradox of power without permanence, shaping ecosystems across miles of open water while leaving no tangible trace for future generations to find. The Cretaceous behemoth squid governed the behavior, population dynamics, and evolutionary trajectories of entire communities, a silent arbiter of midwater life. In doing so, it illustrates the profound reality that the most consequential predators are not always the most visible, and that the ocean's unseen architects can sculpt marine ecosystems on a scale as immense and lasting as any fossilized colossus. Mosasaur killer phantom. After the reign of hidden leviathans, another apex predator imposed sudden and decisive pressures on the largest reptiles of the late Cretaceous. The Mosasaur killer phantom, a soft-bodied, flexible hunter, coexisted with mosasaurs, juvenile plesiosaurs, and fast-moving teleosts, leaving no skeletal evidence of its presence. Its enormous body moved silently through midwater columns, responding to minute pressure gradients and chemical traces that signaled the presence of prey. By occupying predictable migration paths and ambush corridors, it orchestrated predator-prey interactions across miles of open ocean, demonstrating that dominance could be exercised without permanent physical remains. Flexibility and reach allowed its limbs to deliver rapid, targeted strikes, neutralizing prey that dwarfed most contemporaneous hunters. Elongated, muscular appendages acted as both sensors and grasping tools, detecting vibrations and hydrodynamic anomalies while simultaneously restraining or incapacitating prey. Mantle contractions provided propulsion that minimized wake, enabling stealthy positioning before explosive movements. By coordinating appendage, mantle, and siphon movements, the phantom could immobilize multiple targets simultaneously, exercising ecological influence without relying on crushing power or rigid structures. Schools of juvenile mosasaurs and coexisting fishes adjusted their vertical migrations, responding to invisible zones of risk. Depth became a defensive variable as prey altered ascent and descent timing to avoid ambush zones. These behavioral shifts affected entire trophic levels, from small schooling teleosts to top-level predators, creating cascading adjustments in foraging strategies, predator avoidance, and social coordination. In this way, the phantom's influence extended far beyond direct kills, subtly restructuring midwater ecosystems across vast distances. Through subtle shifts in energy flow, predator-prey encounters redistributed biomass and constrained feeding corridors. By selectively targeting abundant or vulnerable prey, the mosasaur killer phantom indirectly regulated population density and competitive interactions. Smaller predators were displaced from prime hunting areas, while prey species adjusted foraging intensity and distribution to mitigate predation risk. Over time, These behavioral adjustments altered energy transfer through the food web, illustrating that a predator's ecological footprint can rival or exceed that of far more visible hunters. Rival predators sensed this unseen force, modifying hunting territories and temporal activity to avoid confrontation. Large mosasaurs, previously unconstrained in open waters, began avoiding regions frequently traversed by the phantom. Opportunistic predatory fishes and cephalopods adjusted strike timing and depth, navigating around invisible zones where sudden lethal encounters could occur. In this competitive arena, stealth, timing, and situational awareness became as crucial as size or speed, emphasizing the ecological advantage of a predator that left no trace behind. Depth and distance became tools of survival, as the phantom exploited vertical stratification in ways that favored ambush efficiency. By hovering in midwater layers and using subtle currents to position itself optimally, the predator minimized energy expenditure while maximizing strike success. Its presence converted the water column into a dynamic battlefield where prey were constantly negotiating risk and zones of safety were ephemeral. Vertical stratification became a living map of predatory influence, shaped by the phantom's capacity for unseen control. The phantom's lateral awareness extended beyond immediate prey, sensing disturbances across meters of water with remarkable sensitivity. Tiny pressure fluctuations from distant schools of teleosts or cephalopods allowed it to anticipate broader ecosystem movements, positioning itself to intercept prey surges before they reached critical density. By reading these environmental cues, the predator could adjust its posture, arm orientation, and propulsion strategy in real time, effectively orchestrating predation across a living network of organisms. Its mastery of hydrodynamics transformed the water column into a spatially mapped hunting arena, where even subtle movements dictated survival outcomes for multiple species. Muscular hydrostatics supported precise movements, enabling both rapid bursts and delicate adjustments during high-stakes attacks. Hydrostatic modulation of the mantle and arms allowed the phantom to coil, compress, or extend in response to prey resistance, environmental currents, or evasive behaviors. Each limb could operate semi-independently, coordinating in real time to optimize grip and maneuverability. This combination of speed, flexibility, and tactile sensitivity ensured that even large and agile prey could be subdued without reliance on hard parts or heavy armor. Behavioral cascades extended across entire midwater ecosystems, shaping activity, rhythms, and habitat selection far from direct encounters. The phantom's influence altered nocturnal versus diurnal vertical migrations, schooling density and spacing between predator and prey. These changes affected foraging efficiency, reproductive timing, and interspecific competition, producing long-reaching effects that propagated through ecological networks. Its impact was systemic, demonstrating that apex predation can manifest in behavioral restructuring even without preserved remains. Moreover, the phantom influenced reproductive behavior, subtly shaping where and when prey chose to spawn. By exerting invisible pressure along migratory routes, it created zones of relative safety or risk, causing schools to relocate or delay reproductive activity. This ripple effect altered population recruitment rates, feeding pressures, and the competitive balance among coexisting predators, demonstrating that the influence of an unseen hunter could permeate life history strategies as well as daily behavior. In this way, the mosasaur killer phantom imposed selection pressures on both individuals and entire species, leaving an indelible mark on ecosystem structure despite its complete absence from the fossil record. The absence of skeletal remains belied the predator's profound influence, forcing observers to infer dominion from ecological perturbations alone. Patterns of prey avoidance, shifts in predator ranges, and alterations in midwater biomass distributions all hinted at a force unseen yet deeply consequential. The phantom's legacy was written in the behaviours it induced, the corridors it controlled, and the subtle environmental manipulations that sustained its hunting success. Its form may have vanished, but the echoes of its control reverberated across late Cretaceous oceans. Life itself bore witness as the phantom sculpted communities across these shadowed waters, leaving only the patterns of existence as evidence of its reign. By balancing stealth, reach, and sensory mastery, the mosasaur killer phantom governed predator-prey dynamics on a scale that rivaled fossilized colossi. Its episodic but decisive predation shaped vertical stratification, energy flow, and species distributions, creating an invisible hand that orchestrated the behavior of multiple trophic levels. In this way, the ocean's unseen architects demonstrated that ecological dominion does not depend on preservation, and that the most consequential predators are often those never captured in stone. Paleocene leviathan. The influence of unseen predators lingered in Paleocene waters, carried in subtle ripples and behavioural cascades. Rising from this hidden world, the Paleocene leviathan appeared as a soft-bodied giant whose presence reshaped deep and near-shore marine ecosystems. Unlike the mosasaur killer phantom, whose dominion radiated through open midwater corridors, this leviathan occupied both twilight depths and continental slope regions, subtly controlling predator-prey interactions without leaving skeletal evidence. Its body, vast yet flexible, allowed it to glide along stratified water layers, monitoring prey densities, migration paths, and potential competition with a level of environmental awareness unmatched by contemporaneous hunters. Even the largest vertebrates were compelled to adjust their behaviour in response to an invisible force, revealing that ecosystem influence does not require a physical trace. Mantle contractions and hydrostatic adjustments enabled the leviathan to glide through deep currents without alerting even the most sensitive prey. By modulating its body volume and using finely tuned hydrostatic pressure, it could move forward, hover, or rise along thermoclines silently, avoiding detection while positioning itself optimally for ambush. Its streamlined form reduced turbulence, allowing even large-scale motions to propagate with minimal disturbance, while sensory arrays along the mantle and muscular arms continuously collected data about subtle changes in water density, chemical gradients, and prey movement. This integration of stealth and sensory perception turned every encounter into a highly controlled event where surprise and timing dictated the predator's success. Elongated, muscular appendages probed vertically and laterally, mapping prey distribution and selectively targeting individuals for efficient predation. These limbs functioned simultaneously as tactile sensors and rapid immobilization tools capable of striking multiple targets across a broad radius. Their flexibility allowed them to navigate around obstacles, fold along the body for protection, or extend to intercept prey passing within striking distance. By maintaining constant environmental awareness, the leviathan could impose behavioral adjustments on entire species, forcing schools of teleosts, cephalopods, and even early whales to alter depth usage, grouping patterns, and escape responses. Patterns of energy flow shifted under its silent hand, redirecting schools of teleosts, small whales, and cephalopods along stratified layers. Its influence extended beyond immediate kills, modifying the distribution of resources and forcing smaller predators to relocate or adjust hunting schedules. Vertical stratification became a dynamic battlefield, where access to nutrient-rich midwater or twilight zones depended on navigating unseen risk zones. Even organisms with no direct encounters experienced selective pressures, showing that the Leviathan's dominion functioned more as environmental orchestration than episodic predation. Reproductive behavior of key species adjusted in response to invisible threats, altering timing and location to minimize encounter risk. Nursery zones shifted, spawning times staggered, and aggregation behaviors changed subtly under the Leviathan's persistent but unseen influence. These adaptations reduced predation efficiency temporarily, but created evolutionary pressures favoring faster maturation, deeper refuge strategies, and increased sensory acuity in prey species. Over generations, the Leviathan's presence shaped population dynamics, indirectly influencing reproductive success and survival rates across trophic levels. Hydrodynamic mastery allowed rapid ambush while maintaining stealth, blending locomotion, sensory perception, and arm coordination. Sudden, explosive strikes could immobilize large targets with minimal energy expenditure, while the predator's soft body allowed absorption of reactive forces without injury. This combination of precision and elasticity gave the Leviathan an advantage over more rigid, armored predators, enabling long-term survival while enforcing ecosystem control. Its hunting methodology emphasized anticipation, efficiency, and minimal visibility, turning concealment into a functional weapon as decisive as physical might. Pressure gradients and microcurrents served as communication channels, transmitting signals about both prey and competitors across tens of meters. By detecting subtle fluctuations in water density caused by approaching creatures, the Leviathan anticipated movement patterns, optimizing strike location and timing. Arm coordination, mantle contractions, and siphon jets acted in concert to modulate position, orientation, and velocity, creating an almost imperceptible dance of predation across hundreds of meters of open water. Such mastery over the fluid environment reinforced the predator's apex status despite its invisibility in the physical record. Behavioral cascades propagated through trophic networks, shaping activity rhythms and habitat selection far from direct encounters. Smaller predators adjusted hunting territories to avoid the Leviathan's invisible ambush zones, while prey species shifted feeding times and aggregation strategies. Even benthic organisms felt the ripple of influence, as midwater prey migrations altered nutrient distribution and foraging pressure on the sea floor. These indirect effects amplified the Leviathan's ecological footprint, demonstrating that impact is measured not in remains, but in the orchestration of life itself. Absence of skeletal evidence belied profound ecological influence, revealing dominion solely through ecosystem responses and species adaptation. The Leviathan exemplified the paradox of power without permanence, where presence, strategy, and environmental awareness outweighed tangible evidence. It regulated energy flow, enforced behavioral boundaries, and indirectly guided evolution across species, leaving no trace other than the patterns of life it shaped. In doing so, it illustrated a fundamental principle. The most consequential predators are not always the most visible, and the ocean's invisible architects often dictate evolutionary direction. Every current and shadow shifted under the Paleocene Leviathan, demonstrating that the hand of an unseen giant could dictate survival, migration, and reproduction for an entire ecosystem. Its influence extended from deep pelagic zones to coastal regions, affecting prey and competitor species alike. By remaining soft-bodied, stealthy, and responsive, it avoided detection while commanding ecological order on a continental scale. In these silent waters, evolution itself became a testament to the presence of the leviathan, reinforcing the profound reality that the most enduring marks on life are often left not in stone, but in the very behavior and survival of organisms themselves. Eocene megacephalopod. A faint ripple through deep Eocene currents signaled the presence of a predator that reshaped marine life without leaving a trace, the megacephalopod. Its massive, soft-bodied form moved with deliberate grace, exploiting open water and complex bathymetric layers. By sensing shifts in pressure, chemical gradients, and microcurrents, it positioned itself along emerging whale migratory paths, small shark corridors, and dense fish schools. Its influence extended beyond direct predation, subtly orchestrating feeding behavior, vertical migrations, and reproductive timing. In these waters, stealth and reach eclipsed brute force, demonstrating that ecological power can reside entirely in the control of space and behavior. Tentacles, each extending far beyond the mantle, acted as both sensory and capture organs. Elongated hydrostatic structures allowed rapid curling, twisting, and stretching, enabling the megacephalopod to immobilize prey without struggling or leaving damage that could fossilize. Minute suckers conveyed tactile and chemical information, alerting the central nervous system to resistance, escape movements, and relative positioning. This allowed simultaneous manipulation of multiple prey, from small pelagic fish to early cetaceans, in coordinated bursts. Currents carried information as well as nutrients, and by interpreting subtle vibrations, the predator could strike across significant distances without revealing its massive form. Mantle contractions were subtle yet powerful, propelling the creature through thermoclines with minimal turbulence. These movements allowed precise positioning in both vertical and horizontal planes, ensuring that prey interception occurred at optimal depth and angle. By combining propulsion with hydrodynamic sensing, the megacephalopod conserved energy while maintaining complete control of its hunting arena. Environmental cues, temperature gradients, current shifts, and plankton density provided constant feedback, allowing it to adjust stance, arm spread, and strike timing with unmatched precision. A predator whose presence was known more through effect than appearance. Predation patterns produced evolutionary pressure across multiple trophic levels. Prey species, altered schooling behavior, vertical migration, and reproductive timing to avoid contact. Small sharks adjusted hunting zones, and emerging whales developed evasive maneuvers. Energy flows in midwater zones shifted as species redistributed themselves in response to invisible risk. Even organisms with no direct interaction were indirectly influenced by predator-induced behavioral cascades. The megacephalopod's effect on community structure demonstrated that apex predators could enforce ecological hierarchies without leaving traditional physical evidence, highlighting the profound power of soft-bodied giants. Sensory integration extended into remarkable neural coordination. Distributed ganglia along each tentacle allowed semi-independent movement and instantaneous response to environmental cues. Pressure changes, chemical traces, and motion patterns were simultaneously analysed, enabling rapid adaptation mid-strike. The central brain synthesized these signals to optimize arm positioning, mantle contractions, and jet propulsion. Such distributed processing meant that prey capture could occur in near total darkness or turbid waters, emphasizing that apex dominance relied on responsiveness and strategy, not size alone. Its very architecture reinforced a principle evident across the ages: influence is preserved in behavior, not bones. Vertical stratification became a domain of calculated risk. The megacephalopod exploited differences in density, temperature, and prey depth, selecting optimal strike zones within the water column. By positioning beneath migrating prey, it converted gravity and buoyancy into a tactical advantage. Early whales, small sharks, and teleosts were funneled into zones where predation probability spiked, subtly steering populations without direct contact. These invisible corridors transformed ordinary migration into a negotiated path dictated by predator presence. In this way, the predator reshaped habitats and population distributions, leaving enduring ecological signatures despite the absence of skeletal remains. Energy allocation dictated hunting behavior. The megacephalopod required vast caloric intake, yet each strike was optimized to minimize energy expenditure while maximizing prey capture. Tentacle coordination allowed multi-prey strikes, while mantle efficiency ensured propulsion was conservative. By influencing prey distribution, it indirectly governed local food webs, regulating the abundance and movement of secondary consumers. Such energetic mastery exemplified how soft-bodied apex predators could rival large armored hunters in shaping ecosystems, revealing a hidden hand guiding species evolution without leaving evidence in rock or bone. Interactions with contemporary predators were dominated by invisibility. While mosasaurs, giant sharks, and early cetaceans relied on brute force or speed, the megacephalopod exploited spatial awareness, tentacle reach, and environmental manipulation to coexist competitively. Its presence caused shifts in hunting zones, temporal activity, and prey choice among other predators. Stealth, precision, and control became evolutionary weapons, forcing adaptations across multiple lineages. These dynamics illustrate that ecological influence extends beyond consumption. Dominance can be maintained entirely through environmental mastery, and the constant unseen threat imposed on cohabiting species. Behavioral cascades extended across both nearshore and pelagic zones. Prey-adjusted movement, predators shifted territories, and energy flow redistributed in subtle, patterned ways. Deep-water communities were molded by avoidance strategies, while emerging whales and large fish species modified feeding times and routes. The megacephalopod acted as an unseen architect, shaping midwater ecosystems far more effectively than any predator with a skeleton could. Its reign demonstrates that ecosystem engineering is not exclusively the domain of fossilizable creatures, and that soft-bodied giants leave signatures in the living world rather than in stone. The megacephalopod's legacy reached beyond immediate predation. Ecosystems were structured, survival strategies evolved, and population dynamics subtly realigned under its influence. By the close of the Eocene, these forces paved the way for Miocene ocean giants, establishing predator-prey patterns that endured and evolved. Though invisible to the fossil record, its impact resonates in ecological architecture, energy distribution, and species behavior. In this way, the oceans bear witness to unseen rulers, proving that the absence of bones does not preclude the presence of power, and that the most consequential predators are often those never captured in permanence. Miocene phantom hunter. Unusual patterns in Miocene prey behavior first drew attention. Entire schools of fish shifted depth unexpectedly, and early pinnipeds exhibited coordinated evasive responses. From these anomalies, researchers inferred the presence of a soft-bodied leviathan, a predator whose influence rippled through midwater ecosystems without leaving tangible evidence. Its soft, muscular form allowed silent movement across continental shelves and open oceans alike, while subtle adjustments of mantle, fins, and appendages created currents detectable only by sensitive prey. Behavioral signals, rather than physical remnants, revealed the presence of a hunter whose existence was felt rather than seen. Analysis of repeated predation patterns suggested the predator exploited vertical stratification to maximum effect. Schools of schooling fish altered ascent and descent rates, timing migrations to avoid invisible ambush zones. Pinnipeds modified their foraging strategies, shifting hunting hours or foraging areas, responding to a threat they could never directly observe. These cascading adjustments implied an apex predator capable of instantaneous and nuanced manipulation of energy flow, controlling ecosystems through behavioral pressure alone. In this light, the phantom hunter became a central architect of midwater ecology, its absence in the fossil record overshadowed by the magnitude of its influence. Muscular hydrostatics allowed precise, rapid adjustments to both speed and orientation. Tentacle-like appendages extended with remarkable reach, probing areas dense with prey while maintaining a low-profile silhouette. Propulsion from mantle contractions was balanced against minimal turbulence, ensuring that prey detected only faint disturbances in the surrounding water. By combining stealth with controlled bursts of acceleration, the predator could intercept multiple targets simultaneously. Its movements created invisible zones of influence, reshaping predator-prey interactions across kilometers of ocean while leaving no skeletal trace behind. Energy transfer within the ecosystem reflected the predator's unrecorded presence. Sudden disappearances of prey in specific layers prompted trophic cascades. Smaller fish were forced into marginal zones, pinnipeds altered feeding strategies, and opportunistic predators shifted hunting grounds to avoid competition. This invisible orchestration subtly redistributed biomass, maintaining ecological balance through a combination of predation and psychological pressure. In doing so, the phantom hunter functioned as an unseen regulator, demonstrating that control over life's flow can occur entirely without a body preserved in stone. Appendages served not only for capture, but also as distributed sensory arrays. Minute mechanoreceptors detected pressure waves, hydrodynamic shifts, and chemical traces, allowing the predator to anticipate prey behavior before contact. Coordinated neural control ensured each arm could act semi-independently while remaining integrated into the overall hunting strategy. This decentralized processing allowed rapid adaptation to sudden environmental changes, such as migrating shoals or deep water currents, turning the predator's soft, flexible body into both a sensory and kinetic instrument of ecological dominance. Ambush corridors formed along predictable prey routes, where vertical and horizontal migration intersected. By positioning itself within these pathways, the phantom hunter minimized energy expenditure while maximizing strike efficiency. Prey adaptations, from synchronized schooling to abrupt directional shifts, became indirect evidence of the predator's presence. Over time, this invisible hunter exerted selective pressures across multiple trophic levels, influencing morphology, behavior, and habitat use without leaving a single preserved imprint of its existence. Its dominance was felt in the echoes of motion, the rearrangement of life, and the subtle restructuring of oceanic layers. Flexibility, reach, and precise control allowed interactions with prey far larger than would be expected for a soft-bodied organism. Early pinnipeds, juveniles of substantial size, could be subdued by careful targeting of appendages and manipulation of currents. Rapid strikes neutralized escape attempts, while sensory input guided restraint and timing. In this way, the predator demonstrated that mass and armor are not prerequisites for top-level predation. Influence can be exerted through intelligence, biomechanics, and the shaping of behavior alone, leaving impact as the primary trace of ecological supremacy. Hydrodynamic manipulation extended beyond prey interception, allowing the phantom hunter to subtly alter local water density and current flow, creating zones that either funneled prey into its reach or discouraged rival predators from entering. By adjusting mantle contractions and fin undulations in coordination with tidal and thermocline shifts, it could amplify subtle currents across meters, effectively shaping the three-dimensional hunting landscape. This form of environmental control allowed the predator to maintain ambush corridors, optimize energy efficiency during long periods of hunting, and impose behavioral constraints on multiple species simultaneously, reinforcing its role as a silent architect of Miocene pelagic ecosystems. Behavioral cascades extended into less visited habitats, reshaping interactions even where direct encounters were rare. Energy flow, schooling patterns, and predator-prey ratios adjusted dynamically as the phantom hunter exercised continuous, unseen influence. Competition among other midwater predators intensified, yet their strategies were defined as much by avoidance as by direct engagement. This silent dominance created a structured environment, a midwater arena organized around the threat of an apex predator whose body left no permanent record. Ecosystem patterns became the living archive of its reign. Stealth became the defining feature of success. The phantom hunter's soft, elongated form, flexible appendages, and controlled propulsion allowed dominance without visibility. Its capacity to manipulate currents, detect micro-vibrations, and intercept prey made concealment a functional weapon, turning invisibility into ecological leverage. Even in regions with multiple large predators, its ability to operate without leaving material traces ensured it remained the invisible architect of midwater dynamics. Influence, rather than presence, dictated ecological hierarchies. Power without permanence defined the phantom hunter as it prowled the vast Miocene oceans. Its presence shaped prey behavior, energy flow, and trophic interactions on a continental scale, while its body remained absent from the fossil record. The echoes of its existence persisted in patterns of migration, schooling, and predation, proving that the most consequential predators are often those never captured in stone. In these silent seas, the hand of unseen giants continues to teach that ecological dominion does not depend on bones, but on the orchestration of life itself, the abyssal titan. Long before human eyes ever glimpsed the depths, the abyssal titan ruled in silence, a creature whose presence was inferred only through the subtle rearrangements of life around it. Lurking in the twilight and midnight zones of the ancient oceans, this soft-bodied giant moved with slow, deliberate grace, exploiting currents, thermoclines, and vertical migration patterns to orchestrate ambushes across vast, unseen spaces. Its influence extended far beyond individual predation, shaping the behavior of emerging fish, early marine mammals, and deep-sea invertebrates alike. In these shadowed waters, the titan imposed a quiet dominion, leaving no bones or shells to mark its passage, yet sculpting the ecosystems it traversed with unseen precision. Subtle distortions in water density and flow provided the titan with a sensory canvas. Muscular hydrostatics along its elongated mantle allowed it to sense vibrations, pressure gradients, and chemical cues over distances that dwarfed most other pelagic predators. Each undulation of its body, each nuanced flex of its fin-like structures, relayed critical information to its nervous system, enabling it to anticipate the movement of prey before a single strike. The creature's immense size, paired with astonishing flexibility, transformed the midwater column into a theatre of strategic predation, where success relied on control and subtlety rather than brute force. The Titan's feeding appendages were equally remarkable, extending far beyond its core body mass to probe, grasp, and immobilize multiple targets simultaneously. Unlike predators dependent on rigid claws or teeth, it relied on reach, dexterity, and pressure manipulation to subdue prey ranging from schooling fish to soft-bodied cephalopods. Coordinated motions allowed it to envelop prey with minimal disturbance, preventing escape while maintaining stealth. Even the currents themselves seemed to obey its subtle manipulations, as schools of smaller animals adjusted depth, timing, and movement to avoid the invisible zones of risk. Energy flow in the ancient oceans bent subtly to the Titan's will. By modulating vertical positioning, strike timing, and pursuit intensity, it indirectly influenced plankton distribution, predator-prey interactions, and the efficiency of energy transfer through trophic levels. Smaller predators were displaced from optimal hunting corridors, and prey species altered their behaviors to reduce encounters, creating cascading effects across entire ecosystems. The Titan's dominion was not enforced through violence alone. Its mere presence transformed ecological architecture, leaving behavioral signatures that persisted long after an individual disappeared into the depths. Propulsion and maneuverability were achieved through a combination of mantle contractions and subtle fin adjustments. By alternating between slow cruising and sudden, explosive lunges, the Titan maximized both reach and stealth, adapting its attack strategy to the density, speed, and evasiveness of its targets. This duality allowed it to dominate both sparse, open water environments and densely populated midwater zones. The creature's soft body, free from the constraints of skeletal support, provided a level of flexibility unmatched by contemporaneous predators, allowing nuanced adjustments to currents, pressure, and prey movements with unparalleled precision. Sensory integration extended into every appendage. Distributed neural networks along its limbs and mantle allowed semi-independent assessment of environmental variables, from minute water displacement to chemical traces. These sensory inputs, interpreted in real time, enabled dynamic hunting strategies, including aborted strikes, selective targeting, and the ability to coordinate multiple limbs in complex manipulations. Even in complete darkness, the Titan operated as a master of spatial intelligence, converting imperceptible signals into decisive action. Its cognitive and physical coordination transformed each hunting event into a silent choreography, leaving only the reactions of prey to suggest its presence. Prey adaptation in response to the Titan was profound. Fish and early marine mammals modified schooling patterns, vertical migration timing, and escape behaviors to avoid ambush zones. Cephalopods altered their camouflage and movement patterns to escape undetectable reach. These adaptations demonstrate that a predator need not be seen or preserved to exert evolutionary pressure. Its ecological signature is etched in the behaviors and survival strategies of other organisms. Across the twilight depths, the Titan's influence sculpted niches, dictated resource access, and rewrote the rules of survival without leaving a trace in stone. The Titan's hunting methods also shaped interspecific interactions. rival predators detected shifts in prey distribution and altered territory, timing, and strategy to avoid encounters. The soft-bodied hunter's capacity for stealth and control forced other predators to adapt or avoid, illustrating that invisibility itself became a functional weapon. Its ecological role was thus both direct and indirect, altering the distribution of energy, the behavior of competitors, and the structure of the food web in ways no skeletal fossil could convey. Despite leaving no tangible remains, the abyssal titan exemplifies the profound influence of unseen predators. Its control over mid-water zones demonstrates that ecological dominance depends as much on strategy, flexibility, and environmental mastery as on size or teeth. In the deep-time oceans, the creature's silent orchestration of prey and predator alike reveals a form of evolutionary power hidden from the fossil record, a reminder that much of life's history remains invisible to our eyes, yet is written in the very patterns of survival itself. As the last currents of deep, ancient oceans swept over the shadowed expanse, the abyssal titan persisted as a master of unseen domains. Its presence, inferred from subtle shifts in prey behavior and the invisible choreography of life, underscores the enduring lesson that the most consequential predators are often those that leave no physical trace. In contemplating the titan's dominion, we glimpse the hidden architects of deep-sea ecosystems, whose influence resonates even in modern oceans, reminding us that the boundaries of discovery extend beyond what has been preserved and into the vast, unexplored spaces still teeming with life. Across deep time, we have glimpsed the unseen architects of the oceans, creatures whose power was measured not in bones, but in the ripples they left on the living world. Their dominion was silent, their presence fleeting, yet their influence reshaped entire ecosystems and lives in ways both subtle and profound. In their absence, we feel the enormity of what remains invisible, a reminder that the most consequential forces are often those we cannot see. The oceans still hold mysteries beyond our grasp, waiting to move, to devour, to command. If this journey through hidden seas stirred your imagination, feel free to like, comment, or subscribe.